Okay, Brooke, I made a video. I'm going to show you how to make the blankets or scarf or whatever you want to make with the fat yarn. And so it's pretty easy. I'll talk you through it. I'm going to do a very short one for just a sample for you to see. I don't recommend starting with a really long one on your first time trying it, just in case. It just seems to like get longer and longer as you're making it. So you have to pay attention to not do it, but then after a while you can do it with your eyes closed. So I'm going to start off just showing you how to begin it, middle, and how to end it. So you're going to take your fat yarn, you're going to make a loop, you're going to come through it, and you're going to start off with your first knot, 2 finger lengths through. And you're going to grab and pull, grab and pull, grab and loop it through and pull, grab, loop it through and pull, grab, loop it through. Make sure you're pulling the excess yarn from this side, not pulling it from the other side because you don't want it to get too tight. Pull it through, pull, 2 fingers, pull it through, pull it through, pull it through. So I have this. I'm going to stop here so it doesn't get too long or else it won't fit in the video. Now what I'm going to do to come back this direction, I am going to take this excess. You're going to find your middle holes in between your yarn of the knots. You're going to come through it, pull it through, make a loop. Got that beginning one, this one, find another hole, pull it through, make sure you're pulling from the loose yarn, find another hole, pull it through, 2 fingers, find another hole, pull it through, 2 fingers, find another hole, pull it through, 2 fingers. This is actually the more harder, not really hard, but just difficult part of the blanket. So I'm going to go through that hole, I'm going to pull it through, 2 fingers, and then the last one. I'm going to find the hole, I'm going to pull it through. Okay. 2 fingers. I got all my loops. Loop, 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 and the end loop. Okay, so it looks like that. It always looks weird in the beginning. It's not going to start laying down flat like this one until after you do a couple more rows. So now I'm going to give myself some more yarn. I'm going to start working down the other direction, but this is where it gets really easy and fast, because all you're going to do is you are going to take your first loop, grab your loose thing and come 2 fingers in, next loop, 2 fingers in that one, pull it through the next loop, 2 fingers, pull it through the next loop, 2 fingers, and so on till we get to the end. And the very last loop. So now it looks like this. And we're going to do the same thing on the way back. We are going to go through that first loop, pull through, grab the next one, pull through, grab the next one, pull through. It's easier if I have my yarn on this side because I'm going this direction now. So I move it from right to left. The next loop, pull it through, the next loop, pull it through, next loop, pull it through, next loop, pull it through, and the end loop, pull it through. Okay. So this is what it's starting to look like. Now, instead of me continuing going with this, since this is just an example for you to see of how to start and how to finish, because the whole middle part is easy. You can make these loops bigger if you want more gaps in between your blanket. You can do 3 finger lengths, 3 finger loops, or you can do real tight and do 1 finger loop, but I don't think that's easy to do. Mine still come out tight enough with 2 finger loops. So here where we ended up, move my yarn back over to the other area. This is going to be the end row. And the end row you do differently as well as the first row. So the end row, we are going to take our loose yarn. We're going to go through that first loop. Grab this second loop. Put the yarn through that second loop. Grab the next loop, pull it through, and then pull the yarn through that one. Grab my next loop, pull it through that loop. My next loop, pull it through that loop. Make a loop. This loop, pull it through that loop. Make a loop. This loop, pull it through that loop. Make a loop. This loop, pull it through that loop. Make a loop. Okay, so this would be our ended row, okay? So this ended row is going to end up with, we're going to cut it. We are going to have this we need to do something with so it doesn't unravel, and the very beginning to do something with so it doesn't unravel. What I do is I take this last loop out. I'm going to shorten it. And I am going to weave it through some of these other loops where you can't really see it. And I am going to hide it. And I'm going to take some red yarn or something really close to it with the needle. And I'm going to sew this in place so it doesn't ever unravel on somebody. And the same thing with the beginning one. I am going to just go through like I did the other one. And I'm going to sew it at the end. It's what I always do so it doesn't unravel. But Rita Fat Yarn video on YouTube, she talks a lot. You kind of have to fast forward. That's how I learned how to do it. And you can look at that too if you have any questions or get confused, or you can call me. But here's a very, very short example. And here's another short example I did of the ribbed yarn, which is a little different. This was fun to make a scarf out of. So you can try to do these. And like I said, if you have any questions, you can call me. But I've been making scarves because I am going to help Kim have a whole bunch of stuff to donate for some of the homeless people, especially right now it's freezing. But these are some of the scarves I've made. And That's the ribbed material. These are a whole bunch of leftover yarn I've had. This one, I didn't have enough of one color yarn to complete it. So I weaved in one row of this sage green in there and then finished it off with the excess of the other yarn. Just, it kind of gave it some different color. I've made a blanket like that before too, and it's really fun to weave in other colors. You get used to it really quick. It's a good hobby to have. It's fun. You can teach the girls. If you have any questions, call me. Love you. Bye. Okay, Brooke.